Do we need to do a roll call?
No, just,
We do?
you do.
I think so. I think we have to take attendance.
Just raise your hand if you,
If you're here, raise your hand, and if you're not, don't.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, we're to order, just say that.
Board of order. Just
Oh.
missing Donna.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
10 o'clock.
oh, here, not much of an agenda there, is there?
No, there isn't.
Light day, light day.
Yeah, we'll be out here, nothing flat.
Yeah. Okay, programming update.
Yeah, so I know the minutes from last time are a bit comprehensive with some of the stuff we're rolling out with the new year. A lot of that stuff is underway. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer from the last meeting. But a few things that I figured might be worth updating. And Donna is here. We got 10:02.
We're all
Good
here.
morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, Jen. How are you? Great. Hi.
Didn't miss a thing.
I'm sorry?
Didn't miss a thing.
Oh,
Excellent. So I know that the ukulele class offering we've been providing is still relatively new. That class has filled 3 straight times, and we actually have a wait list for it. The instructor's kind enough to offer an extension and add-on session. So we're hoping that we will be able to transition 12 participants into an advanced class. So it'll sort of be like different steps that people can participate in and learn. A lot of it starts as leisure and potentially turns into more of a true hobby in a sense, which is really exciting. We've had a lot of success with fitness programs here. It's cool to see music programs and cultural programs sort of take footing. So that's great, and that program is relatively affordable at $10 for, I think, like a 6-week session. We recently started, actually yesterday was our first session, coffee hour here. It's just a social program, totally free, encouraging residents to come in, have a seat, chat with others. We are planning on having conversation cards on tables where you can meet other individuals, have a casual conversation. Very unstructured, very low stakes. We are planning on and have invited folks from the the Brockton Arc and House of Possibilities to jump in too. We'll buy hot chocolate too for folks that aren't necessarily too big into coffee, and of course we have tea and pastries as well. We have identified a long-term sub for all of our yoga programs. Her name is Judith. She received really, really great reviews from folks that took Doreen's class during Doreen's 2-week vacation to Italy, which we were all really jealous of. So we're thrilled to have a very popular backup instructor to complement a very popular primary instructor. It sounds like Judith is also willing to teach some yoga for kids classes that we might offer on weekends, which would be a really nice offering. Doesn't necessarily impact all of you, but if you have grandkids in town, they are more than welcome to attend that once we solidified some dates. We just opened our family cooking class. This is a virtual program, so it won't necessarily require families to try to organize at the end of the day after you come home busy from work or whatever you might be engaged with. Bring the kids here. It's something you can just log on to. The chef will give you items in advance to purchase, to have sort of one night a week of prepared meals that you don't necessarily have to think about it. And it takes place over about 8 weeks. And they walk you through. So if you have a kiddo that you're hoping to try to teach how to cook, so they're not like me and can't cook, anything significant that is, this would be a great program for them. It's run in a lot of other towns too, and it's typically a really good intergenerational program where the kids will either help the grandparents will help the kids, or parents or caregivers for that matter. So that program is live. We can do in-person registrations, but we do have it on our registration platform. Just so we have waivers filled out, but it's not to say you can't stop by the front desk or call in and we'll try to sign you up.
That sounds like so much fun.
It is. So my wife and I did one a few years back, and it was a blast. We did a homemade pasta making class, and so don't quote me, I'm not confident that what we took will be offered in this particular session. I can request the menu if you want. But we did a pasta making class and a charcuterie board design class, which was really, really neat. It took up like a good hour and a half, and it was almost like a weeknight date for us, which was great.
It's wonderful.
Did you eat the food?
Of course. Of course. On March 25th, we have a presentation by representatives from AARP on common fraud and fraud prevention for seniors. Registration should be opening next week. Call or drop in to sign up. That program's free to any resident that wants to participate. I believe we have a maximum of maybe 25. They'll be in this room during the day, so be sure to drop in and sign
What
up.
day of the week is that?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think the 20th is a Saturday, so it might be a Thursday.
Thursday.
March 25th is a Monday. I'm not good at dates.
Do they have to be AARP members?
No. Nope. Any resident can pop in. Totally educational and free program.
Is there a time, did you say?
There definitely is a time. There's definitely a time for it. I can get that to you all at our early March meeting. It'll probably be mid-afternoon because I know we do have some classes in the morning in this particular room. Maybe like 1 o'clock if I remember right. But that'll be in the coordinator as well.
Thank you.
Of course. We have a pair of card classes coming up on weekends in April and May. Those will be on April 20th for Mother's Day and May 18th for Father's Day. The hope for that is it'll be sort of like an intergenerational program again, where Leslie, who is one of our craft program facilitators, will be at Frothingham Hall on the weekends, and we'll be able to invite families, grandparents, kiddos to come in and make cards for their parents. That will be organized, not necessarily in crayon, but it will be sort of like structured, pre-cut out and fabricated pieces they can sort of pin together and write a nice note in. And a very small program, $5 per person, and it should take no more than an hour of time. Those times are still being solidified. We're working with the facilitator, but I like to put stuff on everybody's radar in advance. They'll be coordinated, of course, too. Our meditation program is off and running, has almost 10 registrations. It should be wrapping up early next week. We'll assess if we want to run another program, maybe in the summer. It's been a pretty good and reliable quarterly program for us. Working our way through here. Pickleball is still up and running. All the 8 previous sessions from December to January have filled. The 4 sessions in March have also filled. So we'll likely run them in April again. And then we're looking to run some outdoor lessons as well. It seems to be a very, very popular program for us, and has been a really great movement-based and sport-based program for older adults as well. So we're
Can it be expanded? I need, every time you mention it, it's sold out and so
Yeah,
on.
I know.
Can it be
What's with
expanded
that?
for,
yeah,
make it a little larger, or a couple of days, have one group one day, another group another day, or?
We've been able to. We started with one facilitator, and given the amount of interest we had from the public, we identified a second. Those filled out all again. So this is over the course of about 8 months. We added a third instructor. Those sessions are all filled out. We're finding it a little bit challenging to add the 4th instructor. So it's more so going to be sort of elongating it over time. Unfortunately, we can't bring these folks onto the payroll and make them full-time employees, although I think it might be needed.
Would any of the instructors be willing to do a second?
Some of them are. Some of them are, yeah. We are a bit limited in terms of indoor space during the winter. A lot of the summer and spring lessons will be on weeknights and weekday mornings and weekends at the Unionville courts. We have a little bit more flexibility with scheduling. In this building, we're sort of competing with time for programs like floor hockey, ballroom dance, and various evening programs. So we're sort of confined to early morning on weekends, but we're really encouraged to see them filling, and we'll keep offering them until there's no interest.
Is there pickleball courts now by the high school?
Yep.
Are there? And does the COA have access to those courts?
My understanding is we could request them. We have not yet. The courts at Unionville have mostly met the needs that we have from a programming standpoint. The one challenge with that is you can't use them during the school day or during the school year. So we would be able to access them in the summer. Although, the courts at Unionville, from a program facilitator standpoint, have generally met the needs that we've had so far. But always on the table, it's a lever we can pull.
But how do you get onto the courts? I go by there, and
Where Union
Driving
Villa?
at 8
It's
o'clock in the
horrible.
morning, the place is packed.
Yeah.
Which one? Oh, Unionville?
Unionville.
Yeah, so we're working with some of the folks that are in that informal pickleball group
Yep.
to try to organize things in a way where more folks can be brought in and play, as well as have some courts open for play. That'll be sorted out by April and run through the entire season. So we're also going to be hanging up for times that there's not organized play, some paddle rack systems so people can cycle through. As well as some written guidelines per se, because we can't necessarily police the facility given our staffing constraints.
Yeah.
But there will be some posted signage so folks can negotiate amongst themselves to get on the courts. I'm really glad the courts at the high school have been built. The courts on Unionville, as you all know, are in such high demand that we definitely needed the additional
Yeah.
courts.
They even use the tennis courts.
That's what they were using first.
Yeah, they lower the,
Yeah. So it was, they used to work at the thrift and they'd be over there on Wednesdays and, would store their equipment over where we were so that they didn't want to leave them on the courts because
Right.
things disappeared.
Right. Yeah, we're looking to try to provide some storage over there for programs that we would facilitate. Where if I wanted to drop by and I don't necessarily have my own equipment, there'll be paddles, there'll be balls over there for folks to check out and check back in.
You guys provide the paddles?
We will
You
for the
will?
program that we're if we're able to organize the program that we are discussing with that group, we should be able to. We'd probably have a half a dozen sets of paddles over there, and then we would have a stock of various pickleballs for use.
You know, there's tennis courts at Frothingham that I hardly ever see anybody using. I wonder if those could be.
They had used those for a while for pickleball.
Yeah.
And boy, the neighbors did not appreciate
No,
that.
no,
the noise.
it's too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, so it's definitely an option as well. We don't own Frothingham, so it's a lot easier for us. It's definitely a convenience factor for just using Unionville or the high school, especially because they're lined for the sport as it is.
I thought Frothingham was owned by the town.
No?
No?
It's private.
I wish. It's
Private
beautiful,
corporation.
beautiful park.
All these years
Thank
I
the
thought they
Angels.
owned it.
Well, thank the Ames and the relatives of the Ames family.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the Ames daughters married Frothingham and she built the park in his name. And it's still like a private corporation. The town doesn't have to pay for the workers down there.
Yeah, that's
They
good.
keep it up nicely.
They do.
They do.
It's a beautiful park.
It's a beautiful park.
Yeah.
Excellent. Moving forward on the last item, it looks like a program that we had put out for registration, Yoga for Golfers, is a little bit light on registration. Yeah, you're welcome to pass through.
Can we duck underneath?
Sure, if
Sure,
you can.
just walk. You don't
You
have
just
to
walk.
dive. Just walk. So, just careful of the corner.
Smile though when you walk past.
We'll both if you want us.
Vote yes.
So one of the programs we had open for registration a few weeks ago, Yoga for Golfers, with our incredible yoga facilitator, Doreen. It's a little lighter registration. It's looking like we may cancel next week. It's sort of a very specific and niche program that we're hoping would work, but it looks like it's just not getting traction. So we'll probably let that pass and refund the one individual that had registered for it. Maybe try again another time.
Maybe if they called it something like yoga for athletes or yoga for wannabe athletes or
Wannabes.
That would be all of us sitting at this table.
right, it'll be everyone.
Yeah.
It's a very good suggestion. And that's all I have from a programming standpoint.
Well, that was quite a lot.
Yeah,
There's a
well,
lot
it's very
going on.
impressive. Thank you.
Yeah,
course.
thank you.
Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes, which are attached? Judging by everybody doing their reading, I'd say no.
You didn't see me, I was nodding my head.
Yeah.
You can't hear that?
I thought you were falling asleep.
I got lots of problems.
As they're perusing, those who have read it, is there any comments?
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
I couldn't park this morning.
I know.
Yeah. It was like, what? There's no parking out there. So, I know, you said last time it's gonna be on hold until they decide what they're gonna do with this building? Is that right?
So the capital funding cycle. So we were, forgive me, you all might have the numbers in front of you of what we were allocated for capital funding last year. The sort of reductive version of it
There it
is,
is, right there.
yeah, so that number is substantially less than what we need to start the project. So we are looking at requests at this town meeting, or potentially requesting it for the following, to fully complete any parking changes here. I apologize, I don't have the notes in front of me.
The meeting in May, the town meeting?
Let me steal this one. Sorry?
You said looking to town meeting, would that be the town meeting in May?
Give me one moment just to get caught up. I had rehearsed it for the last meeting and now I don't remember.
Those community preservation funds, is that what they're called?
Yeah,
The extra tax that we have on our property.
that's for conservation, restoration of historical, if I'm not mistaken.
You have to go up to
Yeah, but
the-
it's been used for a lot of different things.
Well, there were specific things. That was preservation, conservation, recreation. I
Well,
think those were the,
wouldn't we fit under some,
I don't know if there's
Something
a
like
precedent for parking. I think,
yeah, but it enhances the recreational ability of this facility, right?
There you go.
let me see, I'll do a quick, there's a website that maintains all the approved CPC projects in Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
I'll make a note to see if there's any sort of like precedent for parking.
But it's not just parking for parking's sake, it's parking so that more people can use and have recreation
Yes.
and right?
yep.
If they enlarge that parking lot, wouldn't they have to blow up some of the rocks out here in order to make room?
Got my paper shuffled.
So then we could have a gravel parking lot.
We gotta get rid of the rocks.
IDA.
So that's where you get your gravel.
That's true.
Gravel
Grind 'em
wouldn't
up.
be ADA. So I will clarify the funding cycle that I had discussed in this. I know I didn't note it. I believe if I remember the capital request we put in it, it may have been this one, but also might have been next year's capital because we might have missed the deadline, given the time it took for the quotes to initially come through. So I'll follow up on that, make a note for our March meeting.
Are those paintings painted by number or something? They're all the same.
They actually put up just one picture for the group, and then they go from sight. It's impressive.
So they show you how, like they teach you how, but everyone's painting the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like
Some of it
places
up
where you
there.
can go and have a drink and they have parties,
Yeah, I
right?
think it's like that,
Yep.
except
Oh,
without
yeah.
the drinks.
Yeah.
They do.
Okay, we still
That would,
Gotta
that would
approve the
stir up some
minutes, so-
interest, bring in a couple of bottles of wine and
got a motion to
Motion.
accept. Second?
Second.
Okay, see? I got my puppets working. All in favor of accepting the minutes as presented?
Aye.
I
Unanimous? All opposed? Just in case? We're over to staff notes.
So I had sent out via email, I only have one staff note, and I sent out via email requesting you all share and potentially take the use and engagement survey for the town's pool. I know I had mentioned at a meeting, it might have been the December meeting, that the town is looking at like all of our recreational assets, how accessible they are, the use case, the quality. That contract was unfortunately dissolved. The vendor got a little bit out in front of their skis, and they couldn't necessarily fulfill some of the crucial components. So we opted to just dissolve it. It was in our best interest. It would be a poor use of money to go forward with it. So we're breaking these down into smaller projects, one of which we're hoping to approach is the town pool. There is a lot of discussion on the pool, and there tends to be, from my perspective, this could be anecdotal, a lot of thoughts on it, positive or negative, some of the benefits, folks that do use it, folks that would not consider using it. So we're hoping to distribute the survey. We've already gotten almost 500 responses from residents, which is great. But we're hoping to compile even more public opinion so we can make a decision on what is it really good for, what are some things that might be deficient for. Is there a number of comments that are similar that should lead us to investing in the facility, and categorically how do we plan for the future for it from a financial and a site standpoint.
So I got that survey, I completed the survey.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit confused though. This isn't just a COA, it's for the community at large, related to the pool, right?
Community at large,
Yeah.
so I sent this to a few boards that I specifically want their opinion. So Commission on Disability being one of it, from an accessibility and inclusion standpoint, and then the Council on Aging as well. Obviously, I'm your staff liaison, and you all work alongside of me for things. The perspective on what the pool provides for seniors from an hour standpoint, a price standpoint, if you want to see programming there, are there any things that you all might have seen as, my impression is many of you are long-term residents for the town, and you have a lot of historical perspective on that site. You might have brought your kids or your grandkids there. You all have a lot of institutional knowledge that's valuable. So I hope that all of you fill it out and you share it with folks that might also have similar perspective.
Well,
So
I
I-
don't- Go ahead.
I had a number of thoughts after I filled it out. And one is something I think a lot about because I'm also on the board at the YMCA, is that I would love to find more ways for Council on Aging and the town to partner. And one of the things that I think is most impressive at the Y is their Water Wise program, which every second grader gets some instruction, not really swimming instruction, but how to be safe in the water. And actually, my husband was there observing, and he said it was quite striking the number of children who really had no experience in the water, who were either fearful or had never learned swimming. And it really made me wonder about, is there ways that the town could partner either with the Y or expand on that? From my perspective, learning to swim is a public health issue. I think it's really, really critical. So that was one of my thoughts. I also wondered about partnering with the food pantry and finding out more about who are the families in town that are struggling financially, and could we make it more accessible with no fee for people who had financial needs.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I just think it is a resource in town, and over the past few years there have been so many drownings at DW. It's just, and too many people in Easton, whether it be children or adults. So I would love to brainstorm how that facility could be used to expand from a public health perspective as well as from a recreational perspective.
That's very great insight. And I'm just now noticing, I don't know how I missed it, you have such a collaborative mindset. You're always looking and making the connections across town, across groups, and it's really impressive.
Is there going to be plenty of parking up there for people?
That's a good question.
If you
So-
have more people come, where are they going to park?
Yeah, I think there's a number of spaces in town that you look at, and there's there's certainly limitations in terms of space. That so much of Easton is either, I believe I heard at a town meeting that we have a lot of wooded area, protected area that's just not accessible because it's so wet. So the town may want to look at how can we maximize space, maximize parking, particularly
Conservation.
particularly if it's going to be more highly used. So I think that's a great point.
Well, wasn't the summer that they had trouble with finding enough lifeguards?
Yeah.
And
So
the hours
was.
of lifeguards and whatever. That's why maybe partnering with the Y would be the thing to do. But I'm hoping that there's not an ulterior motive for all of this, and the closing isn't one of the options.
I don't think that would make sense to close it, because it's really the only. If you look in town, you have the Y, you have Brown Balone. It's really the town pool is the only outdoor swimming facility,
Right.
And it's relatively low cost from a learn to swim program perspective. So I don't know that would be an option. I think it's more of how does it become more of an inviting space? What are some things that it should just do better?
I had somebody ask this morning, do they allow people from out of town to come to the pool? As well, I said, I'm gonna have to find that out.
I think there's a certain charge for out-of-towners, right?
So we removed last year residency requirements.
Okay.
We don't. One of the things that we've noticed is the number of memberships has decreased, and it's been more focused on like day passes. And then most of the memberships we do have are already Easton residents. If you look at a town like Taunton, Canton, Stoughton, they all have like their own like actual pools versus bathing beaches. So they aren't necessarily coming to us for our facility for the most part.
Well, this woman watches her two grandchildren in town here, but she's from out of town.
Yeah, that might even be an arrow in the quiver, so to speak, of saying it would make sense not to have residency restrictions, because then we might be ostracizing those kiddos from coming to a space in town, and they would have to leave. Also, I can see in some ways how having a resident, non-resident fee structure, a bunch of different numbers, a bunch of different text on flyers, advertisements, people might look at it and it might become a little bit confusing, or they might, in that particular situation, they might say like, oh, am I a resident or am I paying a non-resident fee? So hopefully, my intention was really to simplify it and hopefully make life easiest for folks that want to come to Easton and use our spaces.
Something the Y does, they're always looking for lifeguards, and they have a similar problem finding. And for anyone who is interested in becoming a lifeguard, they will pay for them to take the water saving instructor's course. And so it's another, I don't think they would be happy to provide the class for the folks to be lifeguards at the pool as opposed to at the Y. But if I think it could be arranged in a way that it could be mutually beneficial. So if the town advertised it and it brought in more people who took the course, then it would be a greater pool. Using it in different
Well done.
ways, but you understand the concept. If the town could maybe advertise at the high school, or if just ways, and I don't know how how engaged you are with the folks at the Y, but thinking about something I think a lot about, how to engage the town and the Y, because it's a great resource in town.
Yeah, we have mostly, knock on wood, remained sort of unscathed from the statewide shortage on lifeguards. The first 2 years I've been here, we have not had a closure due to lifeguard shortage. So we've been mostly insulated from that particular problem.
That's great.
Simultaneously, to avoid future problems, last year I was able to partner with a certification group. They're called Greater Boston Safety Co. They do on-site lifeguard certifications. The course that we offered at the town pool invited folks from really every touching town or neighboring town to come and get a lesson here, which really only sort of relieves some of that problem and introduces more certified lifeguards into the hiring pool for us, so to speak. So we have a pretty good pipeline of staff coming back this year. I think we already have 4 or 5. We're hoping to add another 5. We did just open all of our job postings for the summer. So hopefully we're able to achieve that, and with more lifeguards, expand hours a little bit, because so far the qualitative feedback I reviewed has expressed that a lot of folks are hoping to see some of the hours we don't necessarily offered.
Do you have a breakdown of who uses the pool, age demographics? Are seniors using the pool?
It's hard to capture. The only numbers I do have are membership numbers. I think last year we had about 10 senior memberships sold, which is relatively low.
Yeah.
But my impression is a lot of the older adults that do come, they take advantage of the day passes. It seems like that's a very popular option given some of the flexibility offered.
I take my grandchildren there, all 3 of them, and it's used almost exclusively by families with children, grandparents and parents. And I think one thing that would be really appreciated would be a small playground out there.
Interesting.
You know, and there's a playground at the Center Street School that's just sitting there, you know. I wonder if maybe something like that could be
Relocated.
brought in.
That's a really great suggestion. Yeah, we've gotten a few folks who have recommended that in the survey so far. So if you were to enter that too, it would be another data point for us to add in.
And the umbrellas were a nice addition. I don't know when those went in, but that was
There's lots of
really
other- yeah, some newer
appreciated.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I hope that you all do take a survey and share it. I'd be greatly appreciative if you shared it with your personal networks, for folks that live in Easton, that is. But yeah, that's sort of the extent of that, and hopefully more to come.
One thought is to have a free barbecue aimed for elders or seniors, and specifically for the folks who live in Parker Terrace in that neighborhood. And the reason being to help them become familiar with it and see it as an accessible.
They used to have that
Did
at
they?
one time.
Yeah, food is a big
Draw.
Draw, yeah.
people like to come to. It's good.
If you feed them, they will come.
That's right. Community building.
Excellent. That's all my staff notes.
That was member notes, staff notes, correct?
Yep.
Any member notes?
I have a question for, and actually, one of the reasons Darcy asked me to be on the board was because I was on the board here, and she thought I could do this kind of cross discussion. And I'm wondering if I, or representing the Y, could put some things on the board here, some postings. 2 things. There is a huge need for childcare, for people to work in the childcare specifically. There is a need for staff for the 7 to 9 shift at the Blanche Ames School. You don't need to have early childhood certification. It is not for preschoolers, and it's very relaxed. The children come in before their parents go to work, so they probably have a little breakfast. They have things to play with. They can do some studying. So 7 to 9, and Darcy thought that there may be some retired people who might be interested. It is a paid position, whatever, like $16 or $18 an hour, plus you get a free membership to the Y. So my question to you is, could I put a posting on the board for that?
Yeah, certainly. So the public bulletin we have in the waiting area would be perfect for that. We can accommodate space for it. Sounds like 2 flyers very easily.
And I don't know if that's something that could go on the coordinator.
I can look into it.
Okay.
I think we've strayed from putting employment opportunities for other organizations. That might be a bit of a slippery slope if we give one person the okay, but
I
not.
get that, yeah.
But certainly the cork board, without a
The-
doubt.
Cryo.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's a really good suggestion.
The other thing that isn't part of the Easton Y, but is part of the Old Colony Y, and something I am a part of, is the mentoring program. And they are always looking for folks to be mentors. I have been a mentor for 5 years for the same child. And I was wondering if, oops, I think there are too many wires here. If I could put a posting on the board for that.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. So
Mentoring school-age children or English second language?
no, it's a wonderful program, and right now there are 11 children on the wait list in Easton
Wow.
looking for mentors, which is quite a high number. I'm not certain about this. I think the age range is 9 to 18.
Academic mentoring?
No.
Or emotional?
Let me see if this, so the program as I know it, there are children who are referred to the mentoring program for various reasons, and you need to make a commitment for 1 year to spend between 1 and 2 hours a week with the child. And you do it on your own. It's a one-to-one thing. The vetting process is very thorough, and I greatly appreciate that, because they don't want someone who shouldn't be alone with a child. So there's lots and lots of vetting, and you have to take a training program, which I thought was great. And then they try to make a good fit between the mentor and the mentee.
It's like big brother, big sister type
It's
thing.
very
Yeah,
much
it
like
sounds
that.
like that.
It's very much like that. My son did the big brother, big sister through Boston, and I was very disappointed in how the program was not vetted in this way and was not supervised in this way. I'm very impressed with how the Y supervises it and supports. There are lots and lots of rules, which I think is great because it protects the child and the mentor. You can't bring the child to your home. You can't include other people unless they are, have been vetted. But it's just a lovely program, and it is a wonderful way to make a difference in a youngster's life. And I started with a child when she was turning 13, right before her 13th birthday, and we have continued. It's optional after the first year, but you need to make a 1-year commitment, and the family needs to make a commitment too, that they will be, go along with it. And now this young woman is turning 18, and we're looking at colleges.
awesome.
So Marge, where do you meet with this child? Do you meet at the library?
I pick her up.
You pick her up?
And that was another thing. They look very carefully into your driving record, and no,
Good.
seriously.
No, that's right. It's not something anybody
Seriously,
initially thinks about. That's good.
When my son went through Big Brother, Big Sister, they came back to him and said, "We saw on your record you got picked up because your light was out." Like they really look carefully at, your records. You have to do a query and a sorry. You have to have references. But I thought it was great. So I picked this young woman up at her house. When she was younger, I always went through her mom to say, "Can I meet with this young girl at
Yeah.
this time?" And Mom would have to agree, and that meant they had to be home for me to pick them up. And I came up with activities every week. And at the beginning, I tried to be very creative, and we went to plays, we went to museums, and some of it, what I have learned over time, and now she's older, but now I just get together with her once a month. We go out for coffee, we go out for a meal, and it's about the relationship. And she will be in my life forever.
That's so nice.
Amazing.
It's so nice. And we text all the time. She's a teenager, so I get the little "I miss you, Marjorie" with heart emojis, and it's just stay in touch. And I'm another adult in her life, and I'm very straight with her about that's like I don't like to hear about that. It's been a great experience for me, and I think for her, and I think for her whole family. One of the things that she lives in Brockton, and I will get wind of the family might be struggling in some way. Their water system broke. And so I will make a connection for the family with the Y, and then the Y steps in and supports the family in whatever, needing more food, or they need more clothing, or so it's sort of a family. It's a great opportunity. It takes some commitment and time, and a way to support this program for a lot of people won't want to do it. I often get things, people make donations in kind. So, so for example, I'll get an email, someone donated 2 tickets to go see the Celtics on, or someone donated some, for gift certificates to restaurants. Usually that's more specific, like they'll reach out to me because everyone will want that, right? But if you can also donate in any way if you don't want to. So I'm going to stop, but I feel like I'm an ambassador for this program. I probably will not do it again because when this young woman turns 18, we are no longer part of the YMCA mentoring program but my relationship with her will continue.
And Marjorie, do they offer training or any sort of like upfront? Yes.
Yes, they do. Yes. So I went through a 5-week training program before it
Excellent.
could start. There was a whole group of us. It was actually pretty cool, and they were very explicit about what you can do and what you can't do. And I could never bring this young woman to my home. Lots of support. It's a great program.
Terrific.
So if you're okay with this, I will put up a flyer because they're always looking for people.
Yeah.
And there's a huge need.
I appreciate you bringing that to the board.
Okay. Any other new business or member notes? Seeing none? Same 2 people to do the, or maybe 2 new people.
I make a
to-
motion, we
Thank you.
adjourn. She seconds it.
Same people, different order.
The 2 old ones.
They know the rules. All right, so our next meeting is going to be, unless somebody gets sick, February, right?
March.
March, first week in March.
This is
7th, March 7th.
it's my son's birthday.
Is your son in town? He's in Boston?
No, that son, he's in the DC area.
DC?
I gotta check
Yeah,
my
he's in
calendar.
Arlington,
I think
Virginia.
I've got something on that day.
We went to
Bill?
Virginia
Well,
to
that-
visit him.
No, my
Last year,
appointment's
was it,
on
or
the
so?
phone.
I go periodically. I was there
Yeah,
over
I remember you
Christmas
mentioning it.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't think I
This
have
is
any
leap year.
documents.
This is leap year.
So
It's a fun place.
normally it would have been the
Beautiful
first,
city.
but
Yeah.
because of the 29th day, it's not been.
It's breathtaking at night.
Sometimes
Oh,
I'm
yeah, the
slow.
mall is.
I'll have to let you know.
You have to
But
let
now,
them know.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
he's been
can't
since
make it.
college, so I've been
Yeah,
so
you
many
keep
times,
me.
I've been, it's different
Next to
after
the
you.
last day at work.
Sure.
Oh, you're
Really?
retiring.
Yes.
Ooh.
Good for you.
When is this?
March 8th.
That's so funny. So both of the
Congratulations.
chairs, the 2 committees I liaise with, are retiring
Yeah.
this spring.
Well, I'm doing it only because I want to get my rent down. Well, everything is based on
Your
Income.
income? Yeah,
so I just moved to senior housing,
great.
so.
How do you like it?
What was that?
How do you like it?
Well, the one night I've spent there
Oh.
was good time.
He doesn't like climbing up and down the stairs.
Oh, God. Well,
There are
I don't mind it
stairs?
if I don't have to keep doing it 30 times.
Carrying things.
There are
That's good. Maybe we'll see
stairs?
you around here for more programs.
Yes, I'm hoping that I will,
Maybe you'll facilitate one.
They have
Congratulations.
Well, I get
stairs
to
in
get-
senior housing?
oh, yeah.
That seems a bit silly.
I
It's a-
want to
it's
get
a
out of my
two-floor
place to get
building.
out of stairs.
I think that's the only reason why I got the spot,
He's
because
in
I
the
said I
lower
could do
section.
stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the hundreds.
Where is
That's
it?
the new
Which one?
section.
No
Down
elevator?
Baldwin?
No
Yeah,
elevator.
up
That-
on-
I don't
I'm at
understand
Parker.
why
That's
they
ADA.
don't.
Great location.
Where is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parker, he's in the hundreds. That's the newer section that was built.
Well, that's where my mother was.
Yeah,
Parker
they're
Terrace?
like mini
They
apartments.
moved her from upstairs
Where is it?
to
Up-
downstairs.
If you,
When the woman downstairs
I've only lived in
moved
town
out.
25
I don't
years. I don't know
know
where
how
it
long
is.
you
that
would,
place
you would
been
know,
open.
because it's right
She was
beside
on
the old dump.
oxygen and she smoked.
I don't know where the old
On
dump is.
Oh, see,
Purchase
that's the
Street?
whole
Burnt
thing.
places on the floor.
No, that's the new dump.
That's
But
the
it's still
new
closed.
Well, you know,
Where was
At the
the
end,
old
you
dump?
go up-
smoke, it's hard for them
Center
to,
Street, you go up
Stop.
Bridge Street.
Yeah.
You take a right, all the way down.
Yep.
And that's either have a Lee Circle or Parker Terrace. And if you had kept going straight, that would have been the dump.
Were you in Parker Terrace?
I'm
He's in Parker Terrace.
Oh, you're in the real nice.
I
He's
I
in- That's why I
overlook,
just said to myself, you got the nice
The
section.
rooms are bigger.
I overlook where the town dump used to be.
Oh, okay.
Isn't there a house down there?
No,
Is it a park now or something?
no, there's nothing.
No.
You know,
It
I have
abuts-
an idea for a programming. I think it would be great to have some kind of a session on transitioning to retirement.
Just do it.
Right, but the reason I think just do it, but the reason I think it's an important topic is that it's a huge life transition.
Yeah.
And many
is.
people
You
are
know
so
when you
excited,
wanna.
and they retire,
agree with
and
that.
then how to create one's life and put structure in. And, you know, everyone that I've spoke to, they're going to retire, they're going to travel, they're going to read, they're going to exercise, and after 3 months, it's like, okay, I've done that. So
You go crazy.
so
You
what
do.
comes next? How to build in, and I think that it is I don't know the word, understood,
Yeah.
the emotional and psychological process that one goes through when they retire. It's a huge life transition.
Takes a
I
good
was gonna
year.
retire, I was gonna retire at 65. COVID hit at 64.
Yep.
I sat home with nothing to do for 4 months, and I went flipping crazy.
That's right.
So I'm working 3 days a week,
What if we
That's
did,
right.
so I have something to do.
And I went back to
I
work,
can never
too.
see me
Marge,
Fully
Totally
retiring.
retired.
Marge, you should teach that.
I was going to suggest, I do have another meeting I have to slide off to, but I was going to suggest if you were interested, we could do like a roundtable on perspectives in entering retirement for seniors that are either retired to contribute or as people who are maybe looking to retire in the next few
back to
years.
Yeah, I
You went
actually,
back to work? I did for a while.
I have
I
attended
had to
seminars.
financially.
I think that it is sort of under-recognized, if that's the
Yeah.
correct word, the emotional and psychological factors that are involved when one retires, and that I think it can be hugely stressful, and it is a huge life transition that most people, you know, long for that, and then they get there and just having open time, waking up in the morning like, okay, so now what, is not as wonderful as,
No. I
agree
downsized.
completely.
I downsized in preparation. I moved to a place with a pond in the backyard, and you can only catch the same
back to
fish so
work,
many
right?
times before it gets bored. You know?
I
Hey,
went back
hello,
to
I'll see you
work,
tomorrow. You know, it's
I sat there and was like, okay, so now what do I do? You know, because there was no structure
Right.
anymore.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I must have rearranged my basement because we moved
Took
just as
me-
COVID
took
kicked
me a
in. I
year.
must have rearranged my
were
basement
gonna
like 12
offer
times in 4
early
months.
retirement.
And I mean literally taking everything down and moving it over here.
I did the same thing. It was
I was
immaculate.